Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I stated on numerous occasions the fact that a second club is forming as a counter to the first club led by the United States and its weasel vassal states. The second club is Russia, China, then possibly India, South Africa, maybe Brazil, Argentina, maybe Iran, North Korea, or all the bad guys of the world. But hey, we like competition, otherwise we would have tyranny since we have only one leader, and usually that's not good, is it? We like democracy until we get to this kind of situation where we have only the United States telling everybody else what to do. Then we all of a sudden agree with that too. So we forget about democracy and we agree because that's the force of the good. Remember, the Germans thought, or some of them thought, that in the 30s and early 40s, I'm talking about 1940s and 1930s. Remember, one leader. So if that was not okay, why would this be okay? Oh, because this is the philosopher king? Yeah, okay, think twice. We are all the same at our foundation. Our instincts give us power, and we will definitely abuse it, more or less. Now, it's not more or less just because we are a little bit more enlightened or something. That's a possibility, very rare possibility, but because there's mechanisms that prevent us from going too far. A lot of people cite Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, intellectual, very, very intelligent individual, very intelligent. He wrote a lot of books and so on. But don't forget, he was still an emperor, and he did a lot of things the way he wanted, and he was not the ancient Greek ideal of the philosopher king that Plato talks about. All right. Remember, even Plato was at one point a leader of Syracuse or something, or a big area, and he was not really good. So, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about some maritime drills, military drills, that the second club, without US's permission, is going to conduct in February. And those, should I call them? These countries that are violating the law, the world order, are China, South Africa, and bang, 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 of course, Russia. So these are the perpetrators. So I have this little article here that I would like to discuss with you and present to you. Here we go. Now, this article comes from Al Jazeera, and Al Jazeera used to be a good source of information, but since I think it did some financial hanky-pankies with some Western investors and media companies, I don't know if it kept its virility. So this article comes from today, the 23rd of January 2023. This is the title: Russian frigate armed with hypersonic Zircon missiles will participate in joint drills in South Africa in February, TASS says. Remember this? This ship is the newest ship that is there. Oops, we got something here. And the Russians sent it to take care of some, how do you call it, some NATO member states, just to get them ready for something. Actually, it just went around the globe and ended up here. I think that's the same one, the one with Zircon missiles, hypersonic. All right, it looks good, but this is obviously from a different time, because you can see over there the trees with leaves. So it's an old picture, obviously. So it says here that Russian frigate named Admiral of the Fleet of the Soviet Union Gorshkov moored in the Neva River during the Navy Day celebration in St. Petersburg, Russia last July. So I guess it's a different one. A Russian warship armed with hypersonic cruise weapons will take part in exercises with the Chinese and South African navies in February, according to Russia's state-owned TASS news agency. The report on Monday was the first official mention of the participation by the Russian frigate admiral of the fleet of the Soviet Union, Gorshkov. That's a different one than the other one that was just released. It was released and went in the North Sea. It went in Atlantic, in the north, and the Brits were going around it and buzz it, its trajectory. So the frigate is armed with Zircon missiles, which fly at 9 times the speed of sound and have a range of more than 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles. The missiles from the centerpiece of Russia's hypersonic arsenal, along with a avant-garde glide vehicle that entered combat duty in 2019. So the missiles form the centerpiece of, along with avant-garde glide vehicle, probably there's the Chinese one, that entered combat duty in 2019, or maybe the Zircon. Admiral Gorshkov will go, I'm quoting, will go to the logistics support point in Syria's Tartus and then take part in joint naval exercises with the Chinese and South African navies, end quote, TASS said in its report, citing an unidentified defense source. The South African Nation Defense Force has said the drills will run from February 17 to 26 near the port cities of Durban and Richards Bay on South Africa's east coast. It said on Thursday that the joint exercise aimed to strengthen the already flourishing relations between South Africa, Russia, and China, end quote. The exercise will be the second involving the 3 countries in South Africa after a drill in 2019, the Defense Force added. The Gorshkov held exercises in the Norwegian Sea earlier this month after President Vladimir Putin sent it to the Atlantic Ocean in the signal to the West that Russia would not back down over the war in Ukraine. So this is the same one that they sent in the North Atlantic. Putin has previously said the frigate and its Zircon missiles have, and I'm quoting, no analogs in the world, end quote. The Russian president sees the weapons as a way to pierce the United States' increasingly sophisticated missile defenses. Russia, the US, and China are in a race to develop hypersonic weapons seen as a way to gain an edge over any adversary because of its speed and their maneuverability. Features which make them harder to detect. Great. So, that's it. They will have the joint military drills. Lavrov is in South Africa, I think, or he was yesterday. I think today. Today he's there. And he was talking about the American partners that are upset about not giving the green light to have some drills so far around the world. And he said, we show the Americans, our partners, he calls them. I wouldn't call them partners because they're not partners anymore. They're straight to your face, want to destroy you. So I wouldn't call them that way. But I guess you were just playing with some semantics over there. You know, he was saying that that shows that countries can be independent and they can decide with whom to associate with without asking the US, obviously, who they can associate with, and the capability to conduct drills around the world like the United States does all the time. Now, Russia and China conducted a lot of drills in East China Sea, in the Bering Sea over there, in the Pacific, so they are not new to this. South Africa, 2019, they participated in some drills as well. And even if this is just a symbolic military exercise, it's still there that gives a hint to some bosses, or one boss specifically, that we're going to get into Africa deeper and deeper. As I said before, I think it's another scramble for Africa, unfortunately, for the African nations and African people who I think should be independent and find their destiny, not other, influencers and people or countries' interest. Because believe me, whoever comes to your country, it comes for an interest. It doesn't come over there to help you or wants something, and It wants something today, tomorrow wants something more, and then it gets you by the balls and then does whatever they want with you. And believe me, these countries like, anyway, big powers, they can do that. The thing is, United States and some European countries already screwed up in Africa with their, colonialism and the first scramble for Africa. China and Russia, they didn't do anything I would say bad or negative influence or memories in Africa. So the African nations do not really think of Russia or China as being no neo-colonialism or whatever, colonialist countries or anything like that. But remember, every individual, every entity, every country with power will tend to use it. Will not accept to, hey, we're going to stay at the same table and we're equal. Let's say Albania with China. Or I don't want to say Zimbabwe, let's say, with United States of America. They're not going to be equal. That's why you have the Security Council over there, and you have a certain kind of countries that decide for the rest what's going on, kind of, And even if they decide, they still break their own rules whenever it's convenient. For the strong countries, not for the small countries. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.